Surely I am not the only one who has several Bluetooth-enabled devices in my smart home, and perhaps I am not the only one who has a correspondingly large apartment where my smart home server cannot cover all the devices here via Bluetooth. Whether it's the recently introduced plant sensor, a Bluetooth-enabled toothbrush, or, as shown in an older video, a smart scale. At the end of the day, all these devices communicate via Bluetooth and should of course all run centrally in my Home Assistant instance. Perhaps some of you now have a smart home server that doesn't have a Bluetooth interface at all, and yet it would be practical to integrate all these devices into my Home Assistant somehow. I'll show you how this can be done very, very cheaply after the intro. Have fun! In principle, we would need something like a 2001 Bluetooth to network bridge that we can somehow distribute dynamically throughout the house in order to capture the Bluetooth signal in multiple locations. It would also be practical if the whole thing isn't super expensive and perhaps even allows the use of devices that are already being used here, and that's where an ESP comes into play. These small microcontrollers, link in the video description, are very well suited for this purpose because they have already been used in various projects on this channel through ESPHome. And the practical thing is that if you are already using ESPHome, you can essentially turn these parts into a Bluetooth receiver with a single line of code, which you can then use in Home Assistant to pair various other devices, such as this plant sensor. I will demonstrate this on a brand new ESP from 2021. If you are not yet familiar with the topic, you can easily replicate this. If you are already using ESPHome projects, you only need to add this one single line, and from then on, your ESP will also be used for the Bluetooth proxy. But first, let's start very simply. So, we first connect the ESP. In my case, preferably directly to the 2001, the Home Assistant server. In the second step, we jump to the Home Assistant interface and then need to install ESPHome under the settings in the add-ons section. If you haven't done so yet, let's go to the user interface here and create a new device. We'll simply call it ESPHome Proxy next. Select which ESP we have here, 2001. If you take the one from the video description, you have the regular ESP. And then we can go ahead and install everything. Here we now have a selection of various options. We have connected everything to the ESPHome server, so we will click on this menu item. Now, all devices that are currently connected to the server are displayed here. I would recommend unplugging all devices that you do not urgently need. This will make the list here a bit smaller. So in my case, we only have this one ESP connected. Click here once, and next, the basic file will be compiled and installed on the ESP. Once the configuration is complete, we can take a look at the example configuration here. What we need to do now is activate the Bluetooth proxy mode. To do this, we simply go to the last line and insert this line here, which we could also add to already existing projects. And then we can click on Save here to install the plug into the computer running the ESPHome dashboard, and then select the ESP here. While this is being installed, I will show you a second, perhaps even simpler method for those of you who are not interested in ESPHome, but simply need the Bluetooth proxy to extend the Bluetooth signal. There is now also a ready-made project page for this, which I will link to you below in the description. And here you can install ready-made images for your ESP directly on this device without having ESPHome installed, without needing any programming knowledge or anything like that. To do this, you simply need to use the appropriate browser, namely the Chrome browser, which is the only one that currently supports it. Then click here on I want to create a Bluetooth proxy, and you can select the corresponding finished devices here. In my case, it's a generic ESP. And then we can click on Connect here. Now a window will open and it would show me the corresponding devices. So I take the ESP, plug it into the laptop, and then I can select USB serial here and connect. After that, it connects to the ESP. And then I can select Install Bluetooth Proxy here, and it will be automatically installed on the ESP without me having to do anything. So after the installation is completed here, we click on Next, and now we need to configure the Wi-Fi. We can simply select from a list of Wi-Fi networks here, and then just enter the password, click on Connect, and if everything worked out, we can click on Add to Home Assistant directly here, paste the IP address, press Save, open link, enter the username and password, and then we can click yes here, and it will already show me the Bluetooth proxy that we can connect to now. Click on confirm, and then it's done, and that's it. If we now click on ESPHome and then on Bluetooth proxy, we can display the device again, see here that the firmware is up to date, and we could then factory reset the entire device, safe boot, in case something doesn't work. But ideally, everything should just work now. New devices should now automatically appear here under Discovered. As you can see here, it has detected 2 switch bots that are in my vicinity. This whole setup runs on a Raspberry Pi which already has Bluetooth enabled. However, I have accordingly pressed disable here for the Bluetooth integration of the Raspberry Pi so that it no longer uses the integrated Bluetooth chip, but instead uses this ESP. So with that, I hope I was able to help some of you. If so, I would of course be very happy about a review. If you have any questions on the topic, feel free to write them in the comments and help me improve this statistic a bit. Otherwise, that's it for this video. We'll see each other again next week for a new video. Until then, take care and goodbye.